Let's begin reading. I now take refuge in the Buddha. I now take refuge in the Dhamma. I now take refuge in the Sangha. For the second time, I take refuge in the Buddha. For the second time, I take refuge in the Dhamma. For the second time, I take refuge in the Sangha. For the third time, I take refuge in the Buddha. For the third time, I take refuge in the Dhamma. For the third time, I take refuge in the Sangha. I undertake to keep the precept to abstain from killing or harming living beings on purpose. I undertake to keep the precept to abstain from taking what is not given. I undertake to keep the precept to abstain from wrong sexual activity. I undertake to keep the precept to abstain from telling lies and harsh speech. I undertake to keep the precept to abstain from taking drugs and alcohol. I undertake to be loving and kind to myself and all living beings. I am subject to old age. I am not exempt from old age. I am subject to illness. I am not exempt from illness. I am subject to death. I am not exempt from death. I will be separated from everyone and everything dear and agreeable to me. I am the owner of my karma, the heir of my karma. I have karma as my origin, karma as my relative, karma as my resource. I'll be the heir of whatever karma, good or bad, that I do. Mind is the forerunner of all evil states. Mind is chief. Mind made are they. If one speaks or acts with an unwholesome mind, because of that, suffering follows one, even as the wheel follows the hoof of the draft ox. Mind is the forerunner of all good states. Mind is chief. Mind made are they. If one speaks or acts with a pure mind, because of that, happiness follows one, even as one shadow that never leaves. He abused me, he beat me, he defeated me, he robbed me. In those who harbor such thoughts, hatred is not appeased. He abused me, he beat me, he defeated me, he robbed me. In those who do not harbor such thoughts, hatred is appeased. Hatred is never overcome by hatred in this world. Hatred is only overcome by love. This is an eternal law. In the unessential, we imagine the essential. In the essential, we see the unessential. Anyone who entertains such wrong thoughts will never realize the truth. What is essential, we regard as essential. What is unessential, we regard as unessential. Anyone who entertains such right thoughts will realize the truth. Here one develops a mind that rejoices now, and in the future one rejoices. In both states, the well-doer rejoices. One who rejoices a lot will be able to see the purity of their own deeds, speech, and thoughts. When one is happy now, they will be happy in the future. In both states, the well-doer is happy. Thinking I have done good in the past, one becomes happy and will easily experience a blissful state of mind. Though a person recites sacred texts but doesn't act accordingly, that heedless person is like a cowherd who counts others' cows. They have no share in the fruits of the holy life. Though a person recites the sacred text very little, but acts in accordance with the teaching, they give up lust, hatred, and delusion. They truly know what is good, and this leads to a mind that is free from suffering. They cling to nothing here and in the future. In this way, one shares the fruits of the holy life. Okay, let's meditate. You may close your eyes and sit comfortably and quickly scan your body to notice any agitations, discomfort, bringing a gentle smile to your face, and that is wholesome energy. Noticing what is happening around you, rain dropping on the roof, vehicles, wind, the temperature, thoughts, the gloomy weather, And here we are in Peace House, seated in meditation. When seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, physical sensations, and thinking fade away, your mind becomes collected. When your mind becomes collected, you begin to pay attention to what is happening now. As you notice that your past and future may be taking so much space from the present, what is happening in the present is this breath, and you apply mindfulness to it. Mindfully you breathe in, mindfully you breathe out. Every time you feel distracted, you can recognize it, release it, relax it, re-smile, return, and repeat the process. Mindfully you breathe in, mindfully you breathe out. By that, you notice the starting point of your breath, ending point of your breath, and the feelings of your breath. Mostly pleasant feelings, neutral feelings, and rarely maybe a bodily painful feeling not involving your breath. Redirecting your attention to breath, you will notice that your body is taking long and short breath, inhaling and exhaling. Be present with all those experiences. You will notice your body begins to relax, shoulders at ease, face at ease, your neck and upper and lower back begin to relax. You let things be and allow the body to disappear from your attention and keep revisiting your inhaling and exhaling, the beautiful experience that is happening right now, not in the past, not in the future, right now, right here, making it a delightful experience. You stay present with your mind awareness to the now. Although your attention moves away from your body, at this stage you may notice your movements of your body as you breathe in and breathe out, being sensitive to your inhaling and exhaling. You establish more awareness within your body, pure awareness, expansion happening, release from contractions of the mind. Things come and go, and you never stop to serve tea or be occupied or get involved with a conversational mind. Yappy, yappy, chatty, chatty. Let things be. They come, they go. And you may now be able to notice the air entering and coming out of your nostrils. So your attention moves there. Continuously bringing up wholesome intentions will give you the realistic understanding that no meditation is bad meditation. You are present with whatever is happening, no judgment, not running away from anything. And now being able to apply wise attention, seeing things arise and pass away, and you wisely reflect on these experiences mentally. For example, pleasant feelings, painful feelings, neutral feelings. You recognize them as they appear. You see the cessation of these feelings when new feelings arise. See their arising gratification when it is pleasant, craving to like that feeling and dislike when it is unpleasant feeling, and often not seeing neutral feeling, that there is an experiencer that is built in mind-made experiencer that is a delusion, like seeing metal pieces put together and they are imagining a car and so on. Many perceptions, many feelings, different to each individual. White in English is Sudu in Sinhalese, different perceptions. See how we have trained our mind. Things keep arising and passing away without us even noticing them. With strong mindfulness, you detach yourself without identifying with any of these feelings. You not only see the arising of them, but also the cessation, a seeing that is called seeing with your eyes closed, a special seeing. Seeing is pasana, special seeing is vipassana. With a tranquil mind, you start seeing more and more of it. Alternatively, you bring up loving kindness, compassion, joy, and equanimity as they arise, guiding the mind in any one of those directions with a simple wholesome thought, such as, may I be well, may I be kind, may I experience joy, may I be closer to equanimity and wisdom. May all beings be well and happy. May all beings in every direction be at peace. May all beings be free from suffering. May I be free from craving. May I experience relief from sensual craving. May I be free from anger. May I be free from harmful thoughts. May I be able to let go of my mental proliferation. Seeing contentment, being happy with what you already have, whether it is about achievements or material belongings, letting things go and letting things be when you can't control them. May I be at peace and calmness. May there be safety in my mind. May I be a giver of safety to others. Sense of patience, security, and calmness. May I be free from abusive thoughts. May I be free from overthinking. May I be free from intrusive thoughts. May all beings near and far away be at ease. We will end the meditation with the sound of the gong. Hope that was all good. And I thought today I can talk about this interesting thing. Did the Buddha actually say life is suffering? Some people say that. That is what the Buddha said. But did he actually say it exactly that way? What do you think? Right. He did not, right? He did not say that life is suffering. That is a misinterpretation of what the Buddha actually said about suffering. The Buddha said truth of suffering, dukkha satya, the truth. Satya is the truth. And dukkha samudaya satya, the truth of arising of suffering. And dukkha nirodha satya, the truth of cessation of suffering. And dukkha nirodha gamini patipada arya satya, the truth of the path toward the cessation of suffering. And did you hear life is suffering? No, that's not what the Buddha said. If the Buddha said life is suffering, he won't be talking about happiness of Nibbana. So there is happiness and the highest happiness. That's what the Buddha actually taught to the world. It begins from tranquility and further higher grounds that we can establish our mind at and being in those places. And that means he was talking about happiness, relief, and ultimate peace, ultimate unbinding from any mental, physical suffering. People try to find easy ways to interpret the Buddha, and that is okay. That is where they can begin exploring the teaching. And when the Buddha talked about suffering, he used the word dukkha, dukkha. Du has a sense of difficulty. And then he also talked about sukha. Sukha is, su has something of easiness. And then what is kha then? That you hear dukkha and sukha. So kha has some bearing. Dukkha is something that is difficult to bear. Sukha is something that is easy to bear. And there is one moment of dukkha and another moment of sukha. The moment you release that mind from dukkha, there is sukha. And it's two sides of the same coin that is present with us. And when the Buddha spoke about the noble truth, Arya Satya, noble truth of suffering, dukkha, he never said life is suffering. Instead, he said, when you put all beings into a scope of a cycle, a wheel of birth and death, in that birth, in many forms, not just a human, but birth in general, birth as an animal, birth in a woeful plane, birth as a hungry ghost, not seeing that, and there is suffering. Birth in general, dukkha, jati. You know, jati is the word he used. Jatipi dukkha. Birth is suffering. Birth also is suffering. Jati ipi. Ipi is also. Jati api actually. Jati api became jatipi in Pali. So if birth also is suffering, there must be more. Jara pitukkha. Once you are born, there is decay. The gray hair, the gray hair that you start to see, you don't like it. Oh, this is painful to see, right? People start to notice this. Oh, look, I can't keep my hair the way I want. So decay, wrinkles. But is he saying that we should feel depressed about it? No, see the truth about it. that is insight that he gives us. Then vyadipi dukkha, that you get sick. Although you wish that, oh, you will not be sick, you are getting sick at some point. And you know it. That is the truth. When we have a human body, we experience mental and physical illnesses time to time. And we can name them as anxiety, depression, like, dislike, fever, COVID, all these phobias and different illnesses that we have. That is suffering because that is not the way you want things to be. And we fight with it. And there is a person in there that is experiencing it. And the Buddha asks us to see the beneath the layer of that experience. There's more that is not seen by us. He's asking us to see the truth behind it. So then in all these planes of existence, death happens. You die in human form and then may reappear based on your impediments. Maybe in a happier plane of existence, maybe in a painful plane of existence. In those planes, your time will be a long period of time or a short period of time. You can see insects. They come, they live a certain time, and they disappear. And different colors to attract, mate, they do the duty and gone. Whether it is in the water, in the ocean, in groundwater, in lakes and tanks and rivers, or in flowers, different colors attract different insects and beings. And they have a purpose and that's the only thing they do and they die. And the Buddha said, there is tendency that humans may be born in those planes. And the Buddha said, it's so rare that you are born as a human being. And the human mind is able to see the Dhamma, the truth, and make ourselves free from that, any dukkha, any pain. And the Buddha said, Yampi chang nalabati tampi dukkha. Yampi ichang. You expect something and nalabati doesn't happen the way you want. And there is dukkha, there is suffering. So true, right? And then he said, Piyehi vipayogo dukkho. You like, you want someone in your life, but you can't have them. There is suffering. A tremendous amount of suffering there. And then appiyehi sampayogo dukkho. You dislike someone and you have to live with them. And you are like, did I ask this in my life? I have to work with these people. That is suffering. Mostly mental, right? Mostly mental suffering. They are not even here physically, but there is the image of them, the experience of them in our minds. That is suffering. And then he said ultimately, Sankittena, in brief, Panchupadana Kanda Dukkha, Pancha, five, Upadana, clinging skandha, aggregate, their changing transient nature, forms that we, sound forms, visual forms, taste forms, the stuff that we experience. That's an aggregate of forms that keeps changing. Although we want tasty things to be tasty all the time, you eat so much of it, there's disliking that. And then feelings aggregate. Form, feelings. When it comes to feelings, pleasant feelings, neutral feelings, painful feelings, just put them into those three, and that there's an aggregate that we experience different times, and they change, and then they change again. And perceptions, like I said in meditation, for the white color, you call it white in English, and in Sri Lanka, they call it Sudu. You never knew that. Different perceptions of different beings, and perception aggregate. My perceptions, things I have perceived, things you have perceived, things Jenny has perceived, these are different for each and every one of us. And they change. You want them to be permanently the way you want, but then they change. Change is the only thing that does not change. That's the truth. And then formation. What are formation? Mental formation, verbal formation, and physical bodily formation. Bodily means your in-breath and out-breath. That is bodily. And verbally, you think and then you speak. These are verbal. Words are formed through thinking. Habitually also, that you habitually say things in certain situations. And then mentally, this is a little deep. Different perceptions and feelings. So it overlaps with what you experienced before, like perceptions, right? Mentally, that is how you perceive and feel the world. And when there is no place where you don't perceive, don't feel, that's liberation. That is the escape that one can desire, but through desiring, it doesn't happen. Any form of desire keeps you from escaping. Desire for meditation, desire for nibbana keeps you from experiencing it. This is why we say the path is there is no traveler, nibbana is there is no one enters into it. Just knowing the truth behind all these liberate you. And then consciousness aggregate. eye consciousness, ear consciousness, nose consciousness, tongue consciousness, body consciousness, mind consciousness, these consciousness. So slowly as you close your eyes and meditate, most things, visual things disappear, sound forms disappear, and you are conscious only maybe on mental experiences. And one day they too disappear. And you may go to a place like a blackout where there are no thoughts, don't even know that you existed there. You come out, oh, there is escape. Slowly you start to realize that things are slow, the way you perceive the world is so different. And maybe this is not seen by animals, this is not seen by a lot of humans. Only those who can cultivate the mind, develop the mind to that level, discipline themselves to be able to see that, are able to experience it. And the way you see the world become different. The way you used to cherish things has no meaning to you anymore. You don't hate the world, you don't like it necessarily, you just know the truth behind the world. You apply that wisdom you have to the experience. And greed, hatred, and delusion disappear from your mind. The truth has dawned, path has been lived. The truth of suffering, cessation of suffering, that craving, the path has been developed by. That is what the Buddha talked about. Any questions? We got about 10 minutes. In 20 minutes, or actually in 17 minutes, I shared a lot. Like in Dhammapada, we read here that mind is the forerunner of all evil states, and mind is the forerunner of all good states. Mind, and unminding stuff. And we never hear the Buddha saying that life is suffering. He was talking about the whole scope of the cycle, the wheel, where beings have suffering and then escape from it. You can be a prince in this life, you can be a queen in another life, and all of them go through birth, aging, death, decay, all of that. And he saw that there has been, this is a mystery that I don't know from my knowledge, everything that you hear, we are used to seeing with knowledge, but that there has been kings who lived 80,000 years in the past. I don't know this. We don't see that now. Our human experiences are different. And they tell to their minister, barber minister, or barber, if you see gray hair, tell me. And this one king saw it, Makadeva, he saw it when he was just 60,000 years old. Usually 60 years old in our, but we start seeing it sooner now. Maybe because of all the stress we put ourselves through. And he renounced everything and went to the forest to meditate. But here you are meditating now before that happens. How lucky are you? Right. Anything that you like to share, anything that you didn't know that was interesting to you?
Really curious. So, a lot of the practice that I do is like loving kindness meditation, and to me, it's like a practice of cultivating joy. But when I hear you talk about Nibbana, it sounds like there's something impartial about it.
Yeah.
And I just don't quite, I guess that's something I'm curious about, and it doesn't quite connect with the practice that I do.
No,
Does that make sense?
it does make sense. Exactly. A true wise person sees both pain and pleasure the same way. You know, loving kindness brings you to joy, and you start seeing the truth behind it. And that truth is liberating. And you still resort to loving kindness because there's pleasant abiding in it, and that is a choice. And from that point, if you are an enlightened person, you do it anyway because, like the Buddha did meditate after awakening, because it gave him a pleasant abiding away from his body, but he knew the truth about the painful feelings. Hunger came to him, but he was not suffering from it. He knew the truth behind hunger, that it disappears when you have given proper food. But the craving of hunger, for example, was not there in him. He has seen the truth in every corner where it was buried, hidden from him. The way meditation, loving kindness is taught is it has been taken out from Buddhism, like mindfulness has been. It's for stress reduction, it is for arriving at joy. But the way a Buddhist monk would teach meditation is, based on their own practice, telling others that there's more. There's more wisdom that is being taught. And I think it'll keep teaching you all your life, right? It's not in one one session you learn it and you forget it. That maybe 30 years later, oh, this is what that this monk was talking about. Yeah, I hope I answered your question in some ways. It's a question that is very thought provoking. You may find the answer as you go. You're welcome. Yep, Alex.
I have a slightly off-topic question, but basically, sometimes the practice is smooth and it's easy to practice, and sometimes it's harder. You kind of don't want to, and you forget about it. And so, like, do you have any tips for kind of keeping the motivation and just the mindfulness going when one doesn't want to practice?
I think no matter how tired you are, the moment you begin sitting, mind goes into a meditation. And making it a habit is 50% of meditation.
Okay.
Actually, they say coming to the cushion is 50% of meditation. And with modern technology, it is easier to set it up in your phone, reminders and alarms telling that. Not necessarily when you are feeling sleepy, you should sleep then. Then you wake up, your mind fresh, put away your phone. That requires discipline and come to not in your room, but somewhere else to meditate. If it is just your room, you just sit at a corner and meditate. And you're okay even if you fall asleep. It's not about perfect sitting, it's about accepting it. And I think like eating, making it a daily habit, seeing the benefits of it is very good. And it's, often we are not aware that we didn't have certain problems because you were meditating. Like your skin started feeling healthy, your food habits started getting improved, but you are not noticing them. But it is all because of your meditation also, that you are more aware of any other negativities around you and you are not affected by them. And sometimes when your life is giving you feelings, my life is so ruined and it is bad, it's painful, everything is horrible. That's when you are, feeling like a failure. But for wisdom, it's like, oh yeah, that's what someone would call suffering. But maybe this is time for me to sit longer and testing my discipline, restrainment, or any forms of repetitive actions that you need to break. It's like, occupation, constantly occupied with work, but that is because it brings money to you. But constantly being occupied with meditation, especially sitting meditation. Meditation is a 24/7 thing. It has to happen in sleep too. But sitting helps. Sitting a guided meditation daily for some time will help you. Some days you may feel like sitting longer than 30 minutes, and please do that. Some days you may feel like sitting 3 hours, please do that. Some days you may feel like it's just 15 minutes, but you do that. And morning, evening, 2 times or 1 time, any time that can be just midday or at 3 o'clock, at any point of the day you do it anyway. It's like you have not eaten, something is missing in your life, so you do it. And gradually it becomes a thing you do every day. Think like you are ruling the whole United States. And you need a lot of meditation because of that, to make all the good decisions. You are the emperor of some country. I've heard some emperors used to are meditating 2 hours a day. That's why they say, if you're not busy, if you're not a busy person, you should meditate 1 hour. If you are a busy person, you should meditate 2 hours.
Makes sense.
Shall we end there? Yeah, let's transform it. May suffering ones be suffering free and fear-struck fearless be. May the grieving shed all grief and may all beings find relief. May all beings share this merit that we have thus acquired for the acquisition of all kind of happiness. May beings inhabiting space and earth, devas and nagas of mighty power, share this merit of ours. May they long protect the Buddha's dispensation. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Have a great weekend. See you next time.